Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in this crazy world we're living in. So what I'm going to look at in this video, I'm going to take you back to a case that we talked about round about the same time as things were going on with the Nicola Bulley case. And this is the case of Madeline Kingsbury. So we're going to go through, many of you will remember this, but some of you probably won't, or maybe you're new subscribers and you don't know anything about this case. But what we're going to do is have a little recap of the case itself, what happened to this beautiful woman, young woman, 26 years old, a mother, a daughter, a sister, all those things, and how she disappeared, and quite a long time was spent before she was eventually found. It was in my opinion, it's an absolute miracle that her body was found, because the terrain where she disappeared was vast. Also, it's probable or likely or possible that her body was moved after one area had been searched. Her body was moved back to that area. Anyway, she was found, unfortunately deceased, but at least her family, could bring her home, and hopefully justice will be seen for Maddie Kingsbury. And I'm doing this video because at this moment in time, the trial is ongoing. Her partner, Adam Favell, he was arrested for Madeline's murder, and he's currently on trial. And the verdict will be reached next week after the American elections. The prosecution has given their case. The defense literally gave their case in a couple of hours. I mean, it was just no defense practically offered. So we just hope that justice will be done and Adam will be found guilty, but we don't know yet. We'll find out next week when the verdict comes in. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to give you a background of the story of the sad death of Maddi, and give you a background to the story. I'm going to tell you the summary of the events of the trial, which I've accumulated from various news items, Maddi's Facebook page, statements by the family, etc. So we're going to just go through the main points of the trial that happened in the trial, and then wait for the verdict next week. I'll be letting you know what the verdict is. So let's chat. Okay, so the first thing we're going to look at are some news. Well, it's like a little sort of mini series documentary. It's not a documentary. It's a news station that did like a 3-part analysis of this case. We're going to look at that first because that will remind you, if you don't remember, the circumstances of Maddi's disappearance and the search, etc., and things that happened last year when it was all going on. Or was it the year before? No, it was 2023, yeah. Round about the same time, as I say, February-ish, that Nicola Bulley went missing. So this was like a similar case that was going on in America. So let's have a look. I have to unfortunately take off Maddi's picture, or the big picture. Very beautiful girl. To all intents and purposes, a really lovely person, as they always are. Chose the wrong man, unfortunately, and when she tried to, allegedly, and when she tried to finish that relationship, that's when it all went wrong. So let's have a look at what this little sort of mini documentary, if you like, that will just give us the background. So where are we starting with? Part one, of course. Finding Madeline. So this is KTTC News Channel. Credit to them.
She was a mother of two, a Mayo employee. Before that, she was a student. Before that, she was just Madeline. That's where the story begins.
She was very beautiful.
Born June 1st, 1996, Madeline Kingsbury was the youngest of three.
It's the same year that my son was born, 1996. So she was 26 when she went missing. So she had, she just didn't have her life. Her kids were her everything. And she, the only thing that Madeline did wrong was she didn't want to be with Adam Fravel anymore. So allegedly, that's the reason why he killed her, because she was making a new life for her and the children.
She grew up just south of the Twin Cities in Farmington, Minnesota.
Growing up, she was very loud and talkative and singing all the time and wanted to be the center of attention. And she wanted to try everything once. She was very brave. She would jump in the deep end of the swimming pool when she didn't know how to swim, that kind of stuff. She was fun. She was a lot of fun.
So yeah, not only her children have lost a mother, but these her siblings have lost a sister. Her parents have lost a daughter.
Her sister Megan describes her as a young and bright girl who loved music, reading, and documenting her life through pictures, often letting her imagination run free.
Our dad was at work, so it was us at home. And she was usually outside, but she wasn't. So I went to go look for her. She was hiding up in her bedroom, kind of crouched in the corner. And I was like, what are you doing up here? And I saw she had brought in like a pile of ladybugs and was playing with and trying to organize the ladybugs. And she named them all Lucy.
Madeline's parents divorced at a young age, but stayed close. A cheerleader and a powerful voice in the school choir, Madeline graduated from Farmington High in spring of 2014. She found her new home in Winona, studying health sciences at Winona State.
A bunch of us went and helped her move into her dorm. And
so she was intelligent. She was also doing well in her career, etc. Unlike Adam, who at the time of whatever happened to Maddi, when he allegedly killed her, he was really not doing much at all. He was financially reliant on Maddi.
She was super excited about her dorm.
The small town feel and rolling bluffs of southeastern Minnesota captured her heart.
She made a lot of friends really quickly. The sorority helped with that. And then in the sorority, of course, she got really close with those girls.
In fact, it was Phi Theta Chi's sorority sister, Holly Stamsher, who became one of her closest friends.
After our first official sorority meeting, I invited her over to my apartment to get to know one another. And then she basically lived with me the rest of freshman year.
The duo quickly became attached at the hip.
She was just so innocent and goofy, but she was insanely smart.
Yeah, she has that look, doesn't she, of innocent. How often we see this when we cover these crimes and these people, women or men, there's sort of a goodness that shines out of them, aren't they? And I think that goodness, that lightness, attracts darkness. You know, I really do think that sometimes. And people who are good like this, they can't see that darkness, or if they see it, they want to help it. You know, they want to help people, or they're. Maddi seems to me like so many others. She's like a giver, isn't she? She's like wants to help people, and they attract, like an empath maybe, and that empaths attract narcissists. It's well known that they do, because a narcissist needs an empath. You can't have two narcissists together because they're not going to get on well, are they? But it's like, and to me, when I look at Madeline, I didn't know Madeline, but that's just the impression that I get.
Like, you would just look at this girl and be like, how can this tiny, goofy package just have this big brain? And so, yeah, it was very impressive. She was just a very impressive and, like, warm being.
Just a door down from Holly lived another student, Adam Fravel, a man who had become a central part of Madeline's story.
He was a typical normal kid.
Born January 29th, 1994, Adam is also the youngest of three. He grew up on a farm an hour south of Winona in the...
Now, the thing is, seeing that picture of him, I'm not sure who that woman is. I take it she's a relative of his or something. But Adam, you know, he's not a serial killer. This is obviously something that he did in a fit of rage, allegedly, if he did it. Remember, we haven't had the verdict yet. Just like really because he couldn't get his own way. But of course, you know, Adam, when he was little there, like on that picture, he was a little boy once. He was a child without murder in his heart, I presume. You know? Presume he never thought when he was growing up that he was going to end up murdering his partner. But I think he is a sociopath, though, Adam Fravel, because if it turns out that he's guilty, just his actions after, it's not so much, you know, the fit of rage, or, you know, I'm not exonerating him, but, you know, people do things in fits of rage, etc. But I think it's the actions afterwards speak volumes, don't they? They say more to me about the sort of person someone is. It's one thing to, you know, just lose it in a moment, like, you know, nearly, you know, we're all human beings, and I'm not going to, you know, anyone I think could really lose it in a moment, depending on circumstances. But it's the actions afterwards, isn't it, that say more about somebody and the type of person they are. When someone tries to cover it up, you know, when someone acts the way Adam acted towards the searchers, people who were searching for the mother of his children, he was, you know, mooning at them, making them uncomfortable. Surely he should have been embracing the fact that people were helping search for Maddi, and he should have been joining in with them. Those kind of things, disposing of a body, covering up things, they're worse. In my eyes, they say more about a person than the actual act itself. Because it needs a certain type of coldness to go about your normal life knowing that you have murdered the mother of your children. And Adam, even just later that day, went to pick up the children from daycare. We're going to see the video of that, as if nothing had happened. So, you know, this to me just says everything. But yeah, he was a little boy once. Presumably he didn't have evil thoughts as he was growing up.
Born January 29th, 1994, Adam is also the youngest of three. He grew up on a farm an hour south of Winona in the small town of Mabel, Minnesota.
He loved sports. He loved football. He loved computers. That was a big thing.
His sister, Teresa, says has many fond memories of growing up with her brother.
He was a very loving brother. I picked on him a lot growing up. And he, no matter what, he always still came up to me and would hug me, even if I pushed him away. Told me that he loved me.
Now, I do always feel for the family of these perpetrators. And I don't know how they feel now, but they stuck up for Adam a lot, like his whole family, when Maddi first went missing, because don't forget, it was a long time before Maddi was found, and nobody really knew exactly what had happened to her. Until she was found, they didn't know. She could have run off with somebody else, or anything that could have happened. And I think for his family, you can see by this girl's face, it just must be horrible, especially because he showed no signs of it. It's not as if he was in trouble, he got into trouble, or he had problems, or, it just seems like, from what she's saying, he was a normal kid, loving, this, that, and the other. So it must be, and of course she would have known Madeline, must be very difficult for the family. So I presume now she accepts that he's done it, or will do when he's found guilty, or if he's found guilty. I can't see that he won't be found guilty, but do you know what? You never know, do you? But just accepting that he's done it. But as I say, not only that he's done it, but what he did afterwards to cover it up.
A normal kid, a normal brother growing up.
In 2012, Adam graduated from Mabel Canton High School and pursued his interest in computers at Winona State. There, he joined a fraternity, and in the fall of 2014, met Madeline.
I don't think it was super serious at first.
Friends say their relationship was off and on, but over time, feelings between Madeline...
Fateful, isn't it? When she met him, honestly, quite often I think about these kind of things, like, in a lot of these cases, you don't realise that you've just met the person who's going to actually take you out of this world. Not only you don't know that you've just met the person who's going to be the father of your children, but you don't know that you've literally just met the person who is going to murder you. You've just met your murderer. It's awful, isn't it? Now look at where the arm is. Look at where his arm is, around her neck. What do I always say about these women? These men, that the way that they hold on to their women with the arm around the shoulder like that. It's like, you're mine. It's not, I don't like this arm around the shoulder thing. I think it's a sign of control, possession. We've seen it so many times, and here we are, seeing it again.
Ellen and Adam evolved.
It got more serious slowly. It wasn't a fast burn or anything. They took their time.
They were very much in love in the beginning. They were very happy. He was a country boy and she was a city girl. So she basically knew nothing about the country life. And so she really enjoyed learning everything in the country.
To Megan, Adam was a very different person when she first met him.
He was pretty outgoing and funny and seemed like interested in talking to us. And I think I first met him, she brought him to my mom's house.
In 2017, Madeline made the big decision to move in with Adam across the bridge from Winona in Fountain City, Wisconsin. A short time later, Madeline found out she was pregnant. Their daughter Ellie was born in 2018.
When she messaged me that I was going to be an auntie.
It's sad, isn't it? Because you can see, even Adam there, they look happy. Maybe they weren't happy. I don't know. Even then, we just don't know, do we? But they look happy, don't they? There's lots of photos I've seen where they look very happy. What goes wrong in these relationships? And the thing is, and then eventually Maddi, she met somebody else, and Adam wasn't having that.
18.
when she messaged me that I was going to be an auntie, I was scared for her because she was young. They were still a young couple. I didn't know what was going to happen. But she was so excited.
Now learning the ins and outs of motherhood, friends say Madeline loved being a mom. Adam paused his education and started a factory job to provide for his new family while Madeline finished school. 2 years later, the couple celebrated the birth of their second child, Noah, in 2020. Adam's sister says he was especially proud to have a son.
When they welcomed Noah into the world, that was, that was his son, like in general terms, a lot of men, look forward to having their first son.
Yeah, chip off the old block, eh? Yeah, I hope Noah isn't a chip off the old block, but I'm sure he won't be, bless him. And Noah's grown up without his mum because of his dad. Both the children are growing up without their mum. That always sort of felt, even if you really hated your ex-partner, for whatever reason, they are the mother or the father of your children. That's a big thing. And if you care about your children, which Adam seems like he does love his children, how could you take their mother away? How could you? Or their father, if it was the other way around. You just, even if you don't care about your partner or your ex-partner, how could you do that to your children?
She wanted her kids to experience everything, and she really supported them in anything that they wanted to do, even at a young age.
Barely ever went a night without being with his kids. He always played with them. He was always doing something with them. Sometimes it would irritate me when I would try to have a conversation with him and he was always too busy because he's with his kids.
The family moved around southeastern Minnesota for a few years before they moved back.
So it seemed like he was a good father too. She was a good mother. He was a good father. This is the crux. It's funny because what I was just saying earlier, just before, how could someone do that to the mother of their children? But that really is almost the crux of it, isn't it? He was scared he wasn't going to have his children. Probably that bothered him even more than Madeline having somebody else. He didn't want another man to be bringing up his children. There's all those things that come into play, isn't there? And I bet God, I don't know what the percentage is, but I bet there's loads of crimes, murders done because of child custody issues. It's probably one of the primary causes, because of course once if you're a man and your wife goes and you don't want to think of your children being brought up by another man, another father, and the vice versa. The children tend to stay with the mother, but not always, and sometimes the mother doesn't want the child to go off with the father because maybe he's got another woman or whatever. So it must cause so much discord.
Back to Winona, settling in a townhome on the north side of town. Adam lost his job during the pandemic. At this point, Megan began to see a shift in her.
COVID's got a lot to answer for, hasn't it? The pandemic. That does look like a very beautiful place, looking at the scenery there and that. But this is where it seemed to go wrong. Adam lost his job, and I'll tell you in a moment. Maddi started to see. Maybe that's when he started getting depressed or whatever. I don't know. And he wasn't working. He wasn't supporting his family, and that can be a big thing for a man. Because people sort of expect women maybe to look after the kids and that, or, even in this day and age, I think that's something nobody would query a woman not working in the same way but it seems, men feel like they're the one that should be. It's very difficult for a man to accept that his wife is the main wage earner.
Her sister's relationship.
It's kind of hard to describe their family dynamic because it just didn't really seem like he was an integral part of their family unit. Like it really just seemed like it was like Maddi and the kids, and then Adam was just kind of there.
The change was noticed by others close to Madeline too. Megan says there were attempts to get Madeline to leave Adam, move with her up to the cities. But her sister's dream of her kids having a good relationship with their father held her back. One incident stands out for Megan.
My dad and my stepmom went down to pick her up once. I think it was after there was like a choking incident that really freaked her out with Adam.
A choking incident. Now this comes up in the trial. They testified to this incident. Well, that's a pure red flag, isn't it? When in an argument with your partner, they choke you. I mean, it's one thing having an argument and, I don't know, somebody even losing their temper and pushing you or slapping you is different from somebody choking you. I mean, that is terrifying, isn't it? Because, that someone just loses it so much they actually put their hands around your neck. That's bad, isn't it? That's seriously bad. But it's a massive red flag. But unfortunately, Maddi, she was a nice person. She wanted her kids to have a good relationship with their father. He murdered their mother. That's what he thought about it, or allegedly. She hung on to this relationship, friendship, if you like, with Adam when she should have really run a mile from him, because she wanted her children to have a relationship with their father.
So they went down there to get her and the kids and bring her and them back to their house. And they thought that she would kind of stay, but she went back home. There was a lot of conversations about, how this relationship is not good for her. It's not good for the kids. It's not a great environment.
There is no record of police responding to any calls of domestic violence between Madeline and Adam when they lived in Winona. But according to Madeline's loved ones, problems grew. The safety of Madeline and the kids were now in question by friends and family. The relationship between Madeline and Adam ended, but the two continued living together.
Look at this lovely house again. You see these houses. Wonder who's living there now, if anyone. But looks lovely, doesn't it? I'd like to live there. Well, maybe not now, knowing what happened to Madeline there. But lovely house. All this, people just seem to sort of, when you look at life from the outside, it's not like it is from the inside, is it?
Madeline became a graduate student in public health at the University of Minnesota and worked at Mayo Clinic in Rochester. She also started seeing someone new.
She was really excited to start a new chapter, especially with somebody new who actually seemed to care about her, was nice to her.
She looked in.
So there's your problem right there, because as Adam's sort of job goes down the toilet, he's probably he's going in a downward spiral. Maddi is going on an upward spiral, her education, her job. Now she's met somebody else on social media, etc. So Madeline's life is getting better by the day, and Adam's is going downhill. And that's a dangerous combination, isn't it?
To getting an apartment for her and the kids in a town nearby.
During this time, Adam was in the process of moving out of their town home.
Mm-hmm.
What was his plan after moving out of there?
I think I would rather not comment on that.
But Adam was still in the picture, and to anyone looking in from the outside, Madeline appeared to be her normal, bright self.
So yeah, they were still living together, but Madeline was making, actual moves to move out. She'd found somewhere else to live for her and the children. But up to this point, she was, I suppose, just for easiness. So what I would say to anybody who's watching this, and take it from someone who has been stalked by an ex-partner, And, you know, I've been through that hell. I was lucky. I'm the lucky one because I could move. I didn't have any children. I was pregnant, but I had no children, so I could move. I moved and moved and moved. And every time I moved, my ex-partner kept finding out where I was. And I had to move again. I moved several times, maybe 4 or 5 times. And I was lucky, and it sounds awful to say lucky, because I was lucky because in the end he couldn't find me, he couldn't get hold of me, and he took his own life. But if I would have been there, I would have been killed as well. I know that inside 100%. I was terrified of him. And not that he ever did anything physically to me. He'd not even done this choking incident. He never laid a finger on me all the time we were together. It was just more psychological sort of control, you know, making me feel bad about going out, making me feel bad about having a life, even friends, being jealous of everyone, even my own brother. You know, just the jealousy and the control, but no physical violence. But I knew as soon as I left him, I knew that if he caught up with me, he would kill me because he couldn't cope. He just couldn't cope. So he was always trying to find out where I was. And luckily for me, I could move around. And he never found out well, every time he found out where I was, I would move somewhere else. I was just on the move. You know, it went on from, it wasn't that long. It was from, I think I left him in September. And by February, it was all over because he took his own life. But he was trying to get me to go around to the house. I wouldn't go. Obviously, there was no way I was going around there. I knew. Anyway, it's a long story. It's in my book, Confessions of a Spanish Teacher, which is available on Amazon if you want to read about the story. It's also available on this channel. The book, I've serialized the book on this channel, speaking it. So how difficult it must be when you've got children, when you've actually got children to that person, and she was trying to do it the right way, but what she should really have done is just got as far away from him as possible as soon as she decided she was going to leave him. But unfortunately, Maddi didn't know that then.
Something that was on full display when she met up with her sorority sisters in October of 2022.
This weekend was the last weekend I saw her alive.
Okay, let's go to part 2.
Also, that sleepless night.
This weekend was the last weekend I saw her alive.
Madeline Kingsbury was going through a rough patch one night and confided in her close friend, Katie Coca.
I was scrolling Facebook and I just saw this meme about your life will get better. And it was a butterfly thing. So I sent it to her. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning. And I woke up to a text the next morning saying, "Oh my gosh, you're making me cry. I love you."
Friday, March 31st started out like any other. Madeline responded to text from family and friends while she got 2 kids ready for daycare.
I had sent her like a funny picture of her from a trip we took last summer to the East Coast. And she, responded, "Oh, I'm so ugly," and, joked a little bit about that.
Around 8, Madeline and the father of her children, Adam Fravel, continued with their normal routine, dropping the kids off at daycare. When they got home, Madeline was supposed to log into work and go to Rochester later that day. Adam planned to continue moving his belongings out of the townhome the two shared.
She just never responded. That was at like 8:15.
She was traveling between that and daycare and, whatever other kind of errands she does while she's in Rochester after work or here in Winona. I didn't think anything of it that she hadn't reached out anymore that day.
According to investigators, Adam texted Madeline asking about supper plans and when she would be home.
Yes, so of course, allegedly, according to the prosecution, Adam had Madeline's phone and he was texting her You know, he was texting the phone, even though it was in his possession, as if he was, where are you? You know, what we're going to have for dinner, blah, de, blah, de, blah.
Home. When he didn't get a response, Adam picked the kids up and brought them to his parents' house in Mabel. By nightfall, no one had heard from Madeline. To friends and family, this was out of character. Her sister, Megan Kingsbury, began to worry.
So I had sent a message to Adam, like, have you heard from Madeline? What's going on? And I learned he was at his parents' with the kids. And that concerned me because he didn't typically take care of both of them by himself.
Megan then messaged Katie, asking if...
Yeah, why did he take the kids to his parents? Why did he just not go back home and then wait for Madeline to come home? If he didn't, you know, she could have been anywhere in Rochester doing her errands, what she was supposed to be doing. But no, off he went to his parents because he didn't want to look after the kids on his own.
She had heard from Madeline.
In that moment, I felt frozen, but I felt fear.
Katie drove over to Madeline's townhome. Backed into the driveway was her dark blue Chrysler van.
I stopped and I panicked even harder. I had my husband on the phone. I'm like, her van is backed in. I'm like, I know Maddi. She doesn't back in. And she was supposed to be gone the next day with her daughter. So she should have been home with at least her daughter.
Funny, isn't it, how you know by people's parking? You know, I had a boyfriend who used to do that. Always he would back his car into his drive. You know, I never do it. I've never done it. But everyone has their own style, don't they? And you get to know their style. You know, some people, when they park, they back in so that it's easier for when they go out. Other people, they just come home, just park up, and then they do the reverse out. That's what I do. But, you know, she knew that that was not Madeline because Madeline did not back up. And it sounds ridiculous, but she knew her and she didn't do it. You know, there are some things that it's like how people know your messages. You know, people have a way that they send messages. People have their routine, their stamp, if you like, of all sorts of things, don't they? I'm trying to think of some other examples, like, you know, when I come home, you know, where you put your keys, for example. And so if your keys, you know, there'll be a place, I put my keys on a hook always. So if my keys weren't on that hook, I'd be thinking, well, where's my keys? You know, anybody would know. You know, if my keys were anywhere else, the only time they might be anywhere else is if I've arrived home with my son in the car and he's gone in and opened the door. So I haven't had to use the keys to open the door, and then they might be in my bag still because I've forgotten to take them out. But do you know, there's things, we all have our little routines, and backing up the car or parking front ways. You can let me know in chat. I bet all of you, you either park if you drive, you either park your car front facing or you back into your parking space. And you probably do the same thing every time.
Katie pounded on the door and windows.
I was getting even more worried by the second.
Through a window, Katie could see a jacket Madeline often wore.
Gosh, that is a beautiful house, isn't it? And look at those. Look at the colours of those trees. It's very, very beautiful.
Yeah, got back to her sister, and I'm like, I think it's time to call the police.
Winona police arrived at the home and followed Katie's steps.
Sometimes you know, when you see all this beauty and that, you just can't believe that horrible things happen in, you know, bad things happen in nice places, don't they? It's not, you know, they don't only happen in sort of, you know, inner cities or rough areas. In fact, if anything, they seem to happen more in these sort of areas.
The landlord of the townhome let officers in. There was no sign of Madeline.
It was unlike her enough that's why we wanted to file a missing persons report right away.
For Katie and her husband Sterling, the search for Madeline started that night. Adam's sister, Teresa Sis, grew worried too.
I was told that night that she never came home from work. I was very confused and I don't even know how to explain it. It's something that you never think would happen to your family.
It would be a sleepless night for many as they waited for the phone to ring, hoping it would be Madeline on the other side.
I was very nervous. I was pacing around in my kitchen. And just the longer that we went without hearing from her, you just go through a lot of different scenarios in your mind of what could have happened.
Well, yeah, but I think maybe quite a lot of us have been through that where somebody's gone missing for a short time. You know, like you think, oh, well, maybe the battery's run down, maybe the phone, the phone battery's gone. Maybe they've left their phone somewhere. Maybe the phone's been stolen. Oh God, there's a million things that at first would be going through your head, but obviously as time goes on and they don't turn up, then it must be like a rock, like just settling in your stomach, knowing that they wouldn't go this long without contacting you, and even if their phone had been stolen or run out of battery, they'd be home by now and they'd be able to charge it up, or they'd be able to contact you in another way. I just don't know how that must feel when it goes past a certain point.
April 1st, Megan and her mother, Krista Neighbor, got up early to drive from Minneapolis to Winona, while Madeline's father, David Kingsbury, filed a missing persons report. The family asked Katie to calmly start asking friends if they had heard from Madeline.
She kept in touch with a lot of people on a daily basis. And once people started seeing that she wasn't answering anybody, it became real. It was wildfire.
Yeah.
Once the news got out.
The Winona Police Department is asking for help with finding a missing woman. Winona Police and the Fillmore County Sheriff's Office are asking for help to find a missing woman. The BCA says 26-year-old Madeline Jane Kingsbury was last seen Friday morning.
Winona police quickly called the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension for more resources. Meanwhile, friends started forming search parties.
It was crazy to see how many people really cared and were willing to here, let me take a map. And
now this terrain that they were searching is so difficult to search. Well, they had no idea where she might be. So it's like a needle in a haystack type thing. This is quite quickly that I got involved in this in this case. One of my subscribers who'd been following the Nicola Bulley case, who's American, let me know about it. Said, oh, we've got this case going on in America that's very similar. So there's some videos here on my channel that I did at the time. Where is Madeline? But the volunteers, it get this massive response by the public. It was fabulous.
It wasn't just searching for Maddi. It was the fact that we were looking in dumpsters and drain ditches.
Yeah, it was just the random
riverbanks.
Yeah,
we got the city covered in that one day.
Yeah,
with drones and people.
After 3 days, investigators declared Madeline as an endangered missing person. And on April 5th, the first press conference was called.
Based on all of this, we believe Maddi's disappearance is involuntary, suspicious, and we are all concerned for her safety. Law enforcement began searching areas nearby Maddi's residence and along Highway 43 in both Winona and Fillmore counties. Our search efforts have been ongoing.
Investigators asked the public for help. Those living along Highway 43 were asked to save all surveillance camera video. A dark blue Chrysler van, one just like Madeline's, was spotted driving on Highway 43 during the morning hours of March 31st. The community was also asked to search their properties for anything that looked out of place.
Your information might be the final piece that brings Maddi home.
So this is Maddi's family. This is her dad, David, here, and her mum. they were estranged. That must be maybe his current partner. They're estranged now, but they'd kept him. And that's probably why Maddi thought she could stay friends with Adam, because her parents had split up and they stayed friends. So, she had seen that is possible.
We will remain loud about this and continue to advocate for Madeline any way, shape, or form. We're offering a $50,000 reward for any information leading to her whereabouts. So please help us find Madeline. The children need their mother. We need our daughter, our sister, our aunt, and our best friend back.
It hung.
Her dad he knows. I swear, he just knows his face. He knows she isn't coming back. Dear me.
Haunts me that I got to go to sleep and hug and kiss my kids, and when she dropped her kids off at daycare, that was the last time that she got to hug and kiss her kids.
It's been nearly a week and still no signs of Maddie Kingsbury, the missing 26-year-old Winona woman and mother of 2.
On April 7th, Winona County Emergency Management organized a large-scale search. More than 1,000 laced up their boots and headed out.
We weren't present because we didn't want to be a distraction, and we started.
You know what? Again, you see that it does bring out the good in people as well. It makes me very emotional because obviously Adam Fravel, if he's guilty, is a twonk. And that's the worst of humanity, not only what he did to Maddi, but what he did afterwards. But then here we are, we've seen the best of humanity, people who want to help.
Searched on our own, but seeing like aerial footage of people like walking in lines on farmland and people in, bright orange vests looking throughout the woods. It was very, very surreal. And, we can't thank people enough for doing that.
On social media, fingers pointed in Adam's direction. For Teresa, the online harassment was difficult and scary.
I definitely was not going to put myself in that position to be harmed. So I did not search with them.
On April 12th, Adam broke his silence, releasing a statement through his attorney, Zach Bauer.
Adam has been consistent with law enforcement from the first time he sat down with them that he didn't have anything to do with Maddie's disappearance. These are the mother of his 2 children, obviously. He wants her home safe, and he is trying his best through efforts with law enforcement as well as within the.
Again, here we come to the defense lawyer, and I know someone's got to do it, but I could not do it. I could not do it because now we know now there was already evidence to suggest that maybe Adam had done this.
Community to try to make that happen.
According to Adam and his family, BCA agents told them not to search with the public or attend any press conferences. The BCA clarified that wasn't true. According to Teresa, Adam and his family searched on their own, driving up and down the back roads of Mabel.
You come to the point in your head where you don't know where to search, because then you become confused on where did she go?
While everyone focused on finding Madeline, Adam found himself in the middle of a custody battle. With Madeline missing.
Yeah, then this twonk went to the cheek of him, la cara, as they say in Spanish. He then went to court.
Where did she go?
For custody of these children.
While everyone focused on finding Madeline, Adam found himself in the middle of a custody battle.
Yeah. To me, it just looks like a smug, self-satisfied toad. God, he went to court to try and get the children. God, I suppose he's trying to make it. Oh no, it wasn't me. I had nothing to do with Madeline disappearing. No. But God, just looking at him, look at his face. Anyway, Allegedly, because he's not been found guilty yet.
Battle. With Madeline missing, the kids didn't have a legal guardian. They were put under the custody of Winona County and given to Madeline's father and stepmom. According to a child protection petition, when officers showed up to take the children, Adam and his family wouldn't cooperate. Adam started shouting expletives, refusing to give the kids up or gather their belongings. Ultimately, Winona County took custody of the young children.
We were very concerned for the kids' safety before they were taken from Adam. And I think that was like...
Yeah, because how often has that happened as well? You had no guarantee he wasn't going to do something to those children, because if he was guilty of Maddi's disappearance, quite often these fathers and mothers, they take their children, they delete themselves, take their bloody children with them.
The bright, shining moment when they came to us with the kids, it was such a relief.
We're asking you to walk your property, check out buildings, and have a good look around.
Week after week, groups of volunteers showed up for Madeline.
It was morbid.
In the pit of my stomach, I knew I was looking for my best friend's body. In my head, I'm hoping she's hurt, at least, somewhere, and we'll find her.
The terrain of Minnesota's bluff country made the search especially difficult.
It was scary, and it was exhausting. And there was just so much open space down there.
1 month after Madeline went missing after dropping her kids off at daycare, her family hosted a vigil.
Take what you've heard about Madeline tonight as a call to arms. When you leave here tonight, you should be thinking, not here, not in our town, not in our county, and not in our state. Someone knows something. Someone saw something. Make this your battle cry. Where's Madeline? Where is she? Make it loud, and don't stop until she's found.
So then they started with these blue ribbons for Maddi.
Winona was dressed in blue as the community set out ribbons and blue lights to honor Madeline for her 27th birthday on June 1st. Despite this push, tips and information coming in to investigators slowed. For the Kingsburys, frustration began to set in.
We were kind of sitting around and don't know what to say. You don't want to look at each other. You don't really want to do anything.
Megan recounts feeling hopeless the morning of June 7th.
I was very emotional and just very like, where is she? Like, why hasn't she been found yet? Like, how is this still going on? Then
her phone rang.
I was sitting in my living room with my fiance, and my dad called. And my mom was also on the phone. And we were kind of waiting for him to dial in my brother. So just a big group call. He didn't say about what yet, but I kind of had this feeling. And so when everyone was on the line, he said that I think there were some BCA agents at his house, and said that they, had found remains, and, they hadn't done any testing yet, but they were 99% sure it was Maddi. They identified, some of her tattoos and things. I fell to the floor. And,
it's like the worst news and the best news all at once, because they've found her. They found her. You get some resolution rather than all those months of not knowing what has happened to Maddi. But the final sort of confirmation of your worst fears also is horrendous. I just, my heart breaks for this family.
It's terrible.
When you haven't said goodbye to somebody and they're just vanished or taken or whatever word you want to use, and then you find out that they passed and you haven't had that chance to see them or say goodbye or anything. It's a very weird void inside that you can't explain.
Well, she sounds really upset, his sister. I don't know how she feels about everything now.
Adam was arrested at his parents' house in Mabel for suspicion of murder. Teresa believes authorities were quick to arrest her brother.
I don't know how to explain it. It's just like sometimes you just know. There's no way. There's just no way that he did it.
In a matter of hours, Madeline's friends got the news Adam had been arrested.
I called Maddie's mom and I'm like, please don't tell me. She's like, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry, sweetheart, but they found her.
I get a call from my sorority sister, Michaela. And I don't hear anything on the other end for like 3 seconds. And all of a sudden it's sobbing. And I remember standing bolt right up from my chair, just knowing.
As the loved ones grappled with the grim discovery, a legal battle was only beginning.
Law enforcement has confirmed the remains are those of Madeline Kingsbury.
Oh. Okay, so we'll look at the part 3 now. And the final part. And then we're going to go through what's come out in the trial.
They had hoped to turn out differently. Madeline's loved ones now coping with the grim discovery, but a legal battle was only beginning.
Law enforcement has confirmed the remains are those of Madeline Kingsbury.
On June 7th, a Fillmore County deputy found the body of Madeline Kingsbury in a culvert covered by some brush. The devastating discovery made during a search of a rural area 1 mile from Highway 43 between Choice and Mabel. The area had previously been searched by law enforcement, but didn't turn up anything. Other volunteers.
Yeah, it's a bloody miracle that this policeman found Maddi. And so good that he did find her, as it had been searched before. And she was in a culvert hidden with branches, etc. And, she wasn't easily found, put it that way. She wasn't just there for anyone to see that there was something there. So it's a miracle she was found, thank God, because I think if they would have found it difficult to make a case against Adam without finding Madeline's body.
Volunteers had also searched close by.
There was a group, I don't know if you were in it, but there was a group and they had driven down that road and it said dead end. And they're like, nope, this is too overgrown. She's not here. My husband was in that group. They didn't even get out of the cars and she was right there.
Oh.
According to court documents, Madeline was wrapped in a fitted bedsheet, sealed with black Gorilla Tape. The medical examiner noted a towel was knotted around Madeline's head and neck.
We all had this thought for her kids. And we knew they didn't know. And her family, her mom, both of her stepmoms, and her dad, and her sister and her brother, I felt kind of guilty being sad that they just got the news that their daughter was found in brush, like garbage.
On June 9th, 2 days after she was found, the Winona County District Attorney's Office charged Adam Frabel with 2 counts of second-degree murder. Months before she disappeared, court documents show Madeline paid a visit to her friend in the hospital. During the visit, she confided, saying everything is bad with Adam at the house. In the more than 70 unsealed search warrants released by the court, Madeline asked for advice on how to get out of an abusive relationship and told the friend, if anything happens to me, know that Adam did it.
Some of the most insidious.
Now later, when we're seeing Madeline, we'll look at the video of Madeline and Adam dropping off the kids at daycare. Just can see in Madeline's face. She just didn't know what to do, did she? Listen, honestly, anyone out there, if you're in that situation or similar, just get out. I'd rather live, if I had to go back, kids or not, I'd rather live in my car than live in this situation now, because you just need to get out, get to a police station, get somewhere, and just to a family member or whatever. Just don't be in that environment with that person, whoever it is. Be you a man or a woman or whatever. If you're in a domestic violence situation, get out. You've got to get out and think about, if things will work out, even though it'd be difficult at first, things will work out. You've got to get out of it and not go back for that. This, can we just have a drink? Can we just have a chat? Can we just do this? No, get out, because that is the most dangerous time for anyone who's trying to finish a relationship. The most dangerous time is when you're just about to leave.
Pieces of a controlling relationship like this is the emotional, the psychological, the financial, and many aspects of the control.
According to domestic violence expert Crystal Heggie, leaving an abusive relationship can be the most dangerous time.
Sometimes it can take years to build.
Yeah, that's what I'm just saying, and she's confirming it, and she's an expert. But you don't have to be an expert, in my opinion, to know it. Once you've lived it, you know.
The plan to remove oneself from that situation. A lot of times there is housing and other financial considerations, children involved that have schooling and bus routes, and leaving means disentangling everything that person has and everything that has been unified in that relationship.
In a search warrant, a friend of Madeline reported that Adam had been beating Madeline for years. She never reported it for fear of the children getting involved.
All cases of domestic violence are complex and intricate, whether it has children involved or not. When children are involved, it means that some of those generational traumas will continue to pass on. To see and witness violence in their home, it is a trauma that does change the brain patterns.
Shortly before her death, there had been rumblings that Madeline had been seeing someone new. Documents named Madeline's new boyfriend as Spencer Sullivan, who has been cleared by investigators. However, Adam's sister, Teresa Siss, believes investigators need to look further into the two's relationship.
There's definitely more to the story.
Couldn't be a lovely brother Adam, could it? So it has to be this other guy. Oh my God.
Spencer Sullivan being much more involved with Maddi than any of us knew.
Sure.
Katie knew. There's a lot of red flags in that situation, and I can't get anybody to be serious about it.
When investigators gained access to Adam and Madeline's townhome,
I'm starting to get a bit angry with this woman now, like a lot angry, because you know what? I know he's your brother and everything. Nobody wants to think their brother could do something like that. But, think logically.
noted the home did not look disturbed. But deeper digging into Fravel's electronic devices suggested tampering and staging. Cameras had been ripped down, and the SD cards were missing. Adam's phone had been wiped. Tracking applications and location services were disabled after March 30th, one day before Madeline went missing. During an interview on April 1st, an officer noted fresh scratches on Adam's face and neck, all under an inch in length, all vertical. Extracted data from Adam's phone discovered a web search from 6:51 p.m. March 31st asking, "Are dog scratches on face dangerous?" Other data from Madeline's phone revealed an alarming text thread between her and Adam, where she confronts him about putting his hands around her neck and pushing her down in front of the kids. Adam tells her that she'll adjust and that she should mind.
So he's put his hand around her neck and pushed her down in front of the kids. I'm not okay with it at all, but especially with them there. And he says, "You'll adjust."
Him. On April 7th, the Fravel family's property was searched. Police found a computer tower and a laptop in a dumpster, as well as a burned computer item in a fire pit. The police learned on April 9th, a neighbor of the Fravel family captured an image on a trail camera showing Adam driving a UTV with a shovel in the bed. Police stopped Fravel while driving the UTV the next day. According to warrants, investigators brought 2 cadaver dogs, both alerted in the bed of the UTV and at the spade of the shovel. During a search of the neighbor's 800-acre property, police found an area of fresh dirt appearing to have been transported from someplace else. Nearly 2 months later, Madeline's body was found 4 miles north of that spot.
This is an ongoing and active investigation.
I'm here today to announce my office filed charges against Adam Taylor Fravel for the murder of Madeline Kingsbury.
On June 9th, Adam was arraigned and charged with 2 counts of second-degree murder, with and without intent. His bond was set at $2 million. Then, in October, a Winona County grand jury indicted Adam with 2 counts of first-degree murder.
It never should have happened to Maddi, and it should not be happening to anybody else.
Can someone say, why is it 2 counts? I'm not sure why that is. 2 counts of murder? Anyway, maybe somebody in chat can tell me why.
I think for people who are trying to support an individual who they feel may be in a abusive relationship, it's very important to know that they are the experts of their own life and they know when or if it's time to leave. So telling a victim of domestic violence that they need to leave takes away their ability to decide for themselves and may put them in.
I think you get a gut feeling. Now, I can only go by my experience. I just knew. As soon as I decided I was leaving my partner, I knew I had to leave and not let him know where I was. I don't know why, and we had no domestic violence in our relationship. He had never laid a finger on me physically. But I just knew, I just felt it. There were a few strange things, like he had said once while we were in our relationship, he had threatened to kill himself. He'd also said once, shall we kill ourselves together? Shall we take our lives together? So there were those warning signs, but I just knew I had to get away and I had to not let him know where I was. I knew he had these stalking, you know, when you look back at the red flags, so we can see it all in hindsight, can't we? You look back and you see all these things that he had this stalking sort of behavior even before we were together, really. He was doing like weird things, what you would call weird things. He would sit out, you know, told me, he would sit outside the flat where I lived and just sit outside and just knowing that I was inside. This is before we even got together. He would ring the phone just so that he could hear the phone ringing. You know, we didn't have mobile phones then, thank God. I mean, he didn't have the technology that people have got now. If I was in that circumstance now with my ex, he would definitely be putting tracking things on my car if he couldn't know where to find my car. He stole my car once in the middle of the night. He found out where I lived. He was the guy who ended up giving him my address. Really, he could have killed me, that guy, by divulging my address to my ex. But he said he was like a bloodhound. He was like, he came up with all sorts of excuses, reasons. He would phone my friends, like all panicking. So I've got to speak to Vicky. Can you give me Vicky's number? I've got to speak to her. It's urgent. The most terrible things happened. Luckily for me, my friends, because they were under strict, he had all my friends' phone numbers because he'd stolen my phone book before I left. He had all my friends and my family's numbers. He would ring them all panicky like that, trying to get my number, because I wouldn't give him my new number, and I would ring him and hide the number. You know, they're honestly the lengths you have to go to. But he would then ring friends and family and say, oh, I've got to have Vicky's number, this most terrible things happen, I've got to speak to her urgently, blah, 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 blah. But luckily my friends were a bit cleverer than that, and they said, no, I'll ring Vicky now and I'll tell her to ring you, but I'm not giving you her number. So he never, he didn't get my number, but he found out where I was a couple of times, and I had to then move again. But as I say, I wasn't moving children around and things, and my whole life I was pregnant. But when it's easier when you're pregnant and when you've actually got children. Oh, look at a beautiful face, bless her.
More danger.
Madeline's family and friends are now gearing up to fight for her and against domestic violence.
I've had at least 2 people come up to me now, women from my past, come up to me and go, I know you and Maddi were best friends. And I would like you to know, because of her story, I've made the decision to leave my significant other because of abuse.
There you go.
Adam's sister, Teresa, who herself is a domestic violence survivor, doesn't agree with using Madeline's story for the movement against domestic violence.
Well, she's a domestic violence survivor herself. And what?
There was some things in the criminal complaint that don't really vote in Adam's favor. What's your response to that?
I've read through all the documents. A lot of things are missing. Let's put it at that. There's a lot of things that the investigators are not putting in there that answer those kind of questions.
Oh,
I don't believe
sorry, but that is ridiculous.
That my brother hurt her at all.
Oh, he never hurt her at all.
There's just there's no way.
There's
no way.
Like your husband didn't hurt you.
The families of Madeline and Adam are ready for trial.
We'll talk about it and testify in court until we're blue in the face if we have to.
Madeline's family will face many legal fees in the fight for justice. To help, there is a fund at Merchants Bank that's open for donations.
We have our good days and our bad days. We're all thinking of Maddi all the time.
Now, I just want to say that Adam Fravel, he asked for his trial to be held, or his lawyer on his behalf, asked for his trial to be held elsewhere, far away, because he said he wouldn't get a fair trial, like locally. So Maddi's family have had to displace themselves to attend this trial. They've had to stay in hotels and things to fit his convenience. The other thing I want to say is the trial is not filmed. That's why I'm just giving you this summary. I haven't been able to go through the trial with you all, because the trial is not being recorded, and that is from Madeline's family's request as well, both the prosecution and the defence. As Maddi's family wanted to be private, which is fair enough. So it's not been televised, as trials often are in America. But it's been reported on. And that's where, when I go through the trial shortly, or a summary of the trial, that's where I've got my information from, what other people's summaries.
When we drive, when we clean, you know, all the time. And my dad and my stepmom are kept busy with the kids. And, you know, we all want to get involved in fighting domestic violence and really like have something good come out of this. I don't think any of us have fully accepted that she's gone. I don't know if we ever will.
Okay, so there we have like the background to this story. So the trial is ongoing. It's finished really in a way, except for the verdict. It is, you know, the prosecution has given their testimony. The defense has given their very brief testimony. And yeah. Now, I want to show you what I'm going to show you first. No, so I'm going to tell you about the summary of the trial. As I say, it is a summary I've taken from different news articles, the Facebook page, a bit of everything. I'm going to talk about the trial, show you some photos, etc., and just let you know. So, let's just say that Fravel has a documented history of domestic violence against Maddi, including an incident where he struck her while she was on a video call with her friend. And text messages also indicated he had choked her on at least one occasion in front of their children. So, the first 8 days of the trial of Adam Fravel were more or less jury selection. So there was a lot, it took quite a long time to select the jury. So we're going to go straight to day 9 of the trial, the morning, you know, the morning session, which of course was the beginning of the trial. So the proceedings got underway apparently just after 9 a.m. The prosecutor is Phil Prokopovich, and he described Maddi as a successful career woman and a mother who had become increasingly frustrated with Adam and his inability to contribute as their 7-year relationship was crumbling. She had met a man, Spencer Sullivan, on a dating app, and as their relationship grew, she decided to end her relationship with Fravel. She had contacted her landlord, said that she was terminating the lease, and that she had found another townhouse where she and the children would live. The state that morning also laid out a list of electronic and video evidence that they said proves that Adam killed Maddi and engaged in an elaborate cover-up, and also indicated that there would be testimony on alleged abuse in the relationship. So the defence began its opening statement with a geography lesson of sorts. His attorney, Zach Bauer, named Winona and the small communities of Rushford, Choice, Mabel, and the highways and county roads that ran through them. He asked jurors to think about the locations as they listened to the testimony. Then the defence painted their own picture of the relationship between Fravel and Maddi, saying like many couples they had disagreements, and there were times Maddi would move out the home and other times when Fravel would go home to stay with his parents. However, they insisted that Maddi had texted her sister saying she was going to marry Adam Fravel. And unlike the prosecutors who said that Maddi's relationship with Spencer was deepening, the defense challenged this and said that in fact it was not. And this, his defense lawyer told the jurors that Fravel had cooperated with the police after Maddi disappeared, and he said that his defense team would show investigators ignored evidence and facts that suggested his innocence. He indicated they would challenge the prosecution's version of how and where the body was found and who may have had access to the site. They also said they would call a neighbour who will testify they never heard any fighting or signs of discord in the relationship between Maddi and Adam. So, two different stories, two different pictures being painted there. Okay, so around 11:15, the first witness, prosecution witness, appeared, and this was Winona police officer Ethan Sense. He was dispatched to the residence occupied by Maddi and Adam on March the 31st, 2023, around 8:19 a.m. on a welfare check. He said he met a friend of Maddi's there, and he was walking around looking at the scene. He tried to reach Maddi and then called her father, David Kingsbury. Then he spoke to Adam Fravel's mother, and she said that her son was putting the children down and would call back. Oh, it must have been 8:19 in the evening then. Must have been, would it? Putting the children down. If he was putting the children down, it must have been evening time. Anyway, the officer testified that Adam called back 20 to 30 minutes later. They had a short conversation. He said he and Maddi had dropped the kids off at daycare and he'd not heard from her since. And then he said that he picked the children up around 4:15. And then Fravel at one point apparently asked him, "Can I expect any sort of follow-up? I don't know if I should be worried or what." Anyway, on cross-examination, the defense lawyer zeroed in on his training, noting he'd only, so he's trying to discredit the policeman by saying he'd only been with Winona PD for 8 months. Bauer asked the officer about a spot of what appeared to be vomit that Sense had noted upon arriving at the home. "Did you gather it?" he said. "No," the officer said. "Did you tell the other officer about it?" "No." And Bauer pressed, "Are you aware that based on your training that DNA can be extracted from the cells in vomit?" "Yes," answered Sense. He also asked the officer if he observed any broken glasses, dishes, or anything else to indicate a struggle, and he said no. So, day 9, afternoon session. The state called Anita Soboter to the stand. She is an investigator with the Winona Police Department, and she interviewed Adam on April the 1st and 2nd. And the state played footage captured on her body-worn camera during the interview with Adam. Although it wasn't clear in the video, Soboter said the left side of Adam's face was covered in scratches near his nostril, Adam's apple and eye. And he admitted to telling Maddi, because this was something, he admitted to telling Maddi that she would end up like Gabby Petito. "I hugged her," Adam told investigators during the interview as he sat in the police department. "It was so stupid, I was just trying to make a joke." Ha, effing ha, Adam. Such a funny joke saying, "Oh, you could end up like Gabby Petito." He did reveal that Maddi was the primary breadwinner, but that he did help him pay the bills. He went into more depth on her relationship with Spencer Sullivan, and apparently he had told her that if she didn't stop talking to Sullivan, she would end up like Gabby Petito. And Gabby Petito was a woman who was murdered by her fiancé, do you remember, Brian Laundrie, while they were travelling across the United States in 2021. He acknowledged that Adam acknowledged he said it, but it was only meant as a joke. And as I say, ha effing ha. Day 10, a forensic scientist, Mackenzie Anderson, testified, presenting video and photos of the walkthrough at their home. Some clues were included: a mark on the wall, paint missing in one of the bedrooms, a coat with a phone, a backpack with 2 laptops, and a tote with 4 camera boxes. Anderson says stains were seen while they did their investigation, and he did some blood tests, but they came back negative. Also, investigator Andrew Mohan testified, saying he searched for Ravel's car, but he didn't find any blood. He also searched his and Maddi's home and took the BCA had taken a laptop, 2 iPhones, and a wallet for evidence. He also searched Adam's parents' home and storage units, and during that he and Maddi shared. And during his search, he found a white coat and boots. Trial day 11, doorbell cam footage is shown, and this footage shows Adam and Maddi dropping off the kids at daycare. It is the last footage of her seen alive. And then later, we see Adam collecting the kids alone, and that's what we're going to look at now. Look at Maddi's face. You know, she just looks to me like it's almost... Anyway, this is Adam coming back later. Look at the dog barking at him. The dog knows. He comes back later as if, you know, nothing's happened. The dog barks at him. I think, let's just watch it in a different way. Hang on. That dog knows, I think. Anyway, so this is... Oh, I've got to take that picture. I've just got to remove that picture, otherwise you won't be able to see it. So go back to the beginning of this. So he comes in first, he's all cocky, full of it. Maddi looks terrified to me. Look at her face. And this is the last time Maddi has ever seen her alive. And this is the last time her children ever see her. The last time she ever sees her children. She looks very worried, doesn't she? Oh. And later, plonk, the bloody twonk, comes back. Of course, allegedly, in this meantime, he's murdered Maddi. When they got back to the house, he's killed her. Comes back, the dog's going mad. Have you noticed that? This dog knows, I think. This dog knows. Dogs know. Look, he goes up to it and it sort of cowers away from him a bit. Watch that whole video once again. Just seeing him makes me feel sick. He's like a toad. Poor Maddi. Poor Maddi. Rest in peace, Maddi. I hope you're at peace, or you will be after the verdict on Wednesday or Thursday. So, let's go back to one of Maddi's pictures. So that was the day. On the day 11, that's when the jurors saw the footage, and the daycare provider took the stand. She said it wasn't unusual for both of them to drop the kids off together. And she said that on the rare occasions that Fravel would pick up the kids alone, his daughter would immediately ask, "Where's mommy?" He would always say, "She's on her way back home from school, honey, we'll see her soon." But this woman from the daycare provider noticed it was different that day. On that day, when the daughter asked, "Where's mommy?" he just said, "Let's go to grandma's." And she said he's never answered like that before. Anyway, what else came up on that day? In the daycare video, Sergeant Rice then pointed out Adam was wearing dark grey sweatpants, a white jacket, red hunter's cap and white tennis shoes when he dropped off the kids with Maddi, but later on, when he picked them up alone, he wore the same outfit but with brown boots instead of white shoes. What else happened? The next door neighbour, Jeremy Lokler, testified that around 9:30 a.m. on the morning Maddi disappeared, he noticed the van, which was Madeline Kingsbury's van, was backed into the driveway, and it was not typical of them to do so. They normally pulled in forward instead of backing in. That's what we were talking about earlier. So in the afternoon session, a total of 11 witnesses came to the stand. Derek Lanning, an investigator with the police department, said he interviewed Spencer Sullivan, that's who was dating Madeline at the time. He said that he was at work at the time Madeline went missing, and he got emotional and said, anything I can do to help. Another neighbour took the stand. She shared a wall with the townhome that Adam and Maddi shared, and said she'd had past interaction. Actually, he or she, I'm not sure if it's a man or a woman, said that they had past interactions with Maddi, but had never had any interaction with Fravel. Or it is a woman. She said she didn't even so much as see him outside the home or playing with the kids. She was at work the day Maddi disappeared, but during the brief time she was at home, she didn't hear anything of concern. An investigator testified that Adam's laptop and several pieces of clothing he was last seen wearing were collected about a week after Maddi was reported missing. While on the property, they saw other possible pieces of evidence, including several smashed electronics found in an outside dumpster near his home. A melted laptop was also found in a burn pit on the property. I hope his sister was listening to all this. Law enforcement collected the clothing and shoes that he was last seen wearing. All of his clothing was later collected by police, and a photograph shown the court showed mud and dirt encrusted on the bottom of his white shoes. Jasmine Sexton, who supervises a team of research coordinators at the Mayo Clinic, was one of the seventh witness to take the stand. Maddi was her employee. She said she would work on the Mayo Clinic campus Mondays and Fridays and would work remotely Tuesday to Thursday. She didn't show up for work on the Friday she disappeared, and she did not give any notice that she would not be at work that day. However, she said that her VPN account for work was logged into early in the morning. The last time Sexton had heard from Maddi was through a video chat on the Thursday before her disappearance. Another witness was Robert Schutt, a security specialist with Mayo Clinic. Just brief testimony, a video of Kingsbury's van, of Maddi's van, that was sent to Robert Wilkinson, a special agent with the Minnesota Bureau. The ninth witness was Rebecca Miller, a forensic associate with the Mayo Clinic. She noted computer activity associated with Maddi's VPN account around 7:20 in the morning. And then before she most likely logged herself out about 20 minutes later. Her computer was then shut off. The landlord of the townhome they shared testified all rent payments since 2021 came from Maddi. He received a text from Maddi on March 27 saying that she was unexpectedly looking for a new place to live and she wanted to know if she could end the lease early, which the landlord said she could. She added she had no issues with Maddi or Fravel while they were tenants. Then it talks about the searches, extractions from phones, etc., etc. And the state was trying to show all the bank statements, etc., because the state was trying to show that Adam was financially dependent on Maddi. And from January to March 2023, banking records show that Maddi sent Adam more than $4,000. And in 2022, Adam stopped putting money towards things like rent and daycare. So day 12, they talked again about the way that Maddi covered Adam's expenses, etc. Questioned about the defence said that Adam did contribute towards daycare, etc. Maybe, but apparently there was no detailed record for a savings account managed to get. They talked about maps and search efforts. There we go. So finally, Maddi's remains were found, and the court took a brief recess, and the prosecutor said he would show photos and videos of Maddi's remains after the break. So this is the details of Maddi's body being found. So the area Maddi's body was eventually found on the 7th of June 2023 had already been searched, but Daniel Dornick, an investigator with the Fillmore County Sheriff's Office, decided to go back and do an additional search of the area. And he heard, when he walked to the back end of his car, during part of his search, he heard the sound of insects. He didn't initially see anything, but then he noticed the flies were on logs in a ditch, and then he spotted a grey fitted bedsheet. Anyway, I'm not going to go into all the details of Maddi's body, but they knew it was her because of the tattoo on her stomach, even though she hadn't been officially identified then, and she was decomposing, obviously, really. And he said he just recognised the smell immediately as well. So we won't go into those details, but the bed sheet that Maddi was wrapped in was shown, and I think it came from the home, didn't it? So the next witness, so then by the next day, so Maddi's body was found on land very close by to Adam's father's land. One of the workers came on and said, although he had searched, he did not, the culvert that Maddi was eventually found in, he didn't even know it existed. So that was not searched. And he says he has a hunting dog, but the hunting dog never alerted him about anything unusual on the property. Yeah. So day 13, more photos of this time of the autopsy, etc. Officers found similar bedding and tape at the home that was wrapped around the body they found at the home of Maddi and Adam. And Maddi had a towel tied around her head, which he described as very tight. And he said this Zumwalt, his name is Zumwalt, the medical examiner, said it's possible she died from asphyxiation. So because she was in an advanced state of decomposition, it was difficult to establish bruises and marks. So this led Zumwalt to believe Maddi died around the time she went missing. Sorry, I'm just thinking about how long bruises last on a body. Thinking about Madeline, thinking about Nicola Bulley, her bruises were visible, weren't they? Anyway, he said that her remains had started to mummify. Anyway, let's not go into the details of the body. So, later on that day, on trial day 13, the jury was shown these graphic photos of a decomposed body wrapped in a dark grey bedsheet that matched a partial set found in the townhouse rented by Maddi and Adam. There was a bathroom towel with a blue dot pattern wrapped around Maddi's face and neck in a slip knot. The cause of death was established as homicidal violence, caused by strangling, choking or smothering, leading to lack of oxygen. No other signs of physical trauma such as stab wounds, gunshot wounds or obvious broken bones. He also excluded natural and toxicological causes. He felt that the towel was what killed Maddi. And he said, I can't determine whether she had any injuries prior to the decomposition or not. And when he was asked if there was any medical trauma to the face, he said he couldn't establish it. Right, sorry, I'm just trying, because I don't want to read you every single thing. I'm just trying to sort of pick out the most important things. So trial day 14, dash cam footage was used as evidence. Madeline's car was seen travelling on Highway 43. They gathered evidence at Adam's parents' home. They found clothing, shovels and rakes. Obtained data from both their phones that shows their security cameras were operational at their home until March the 29th. Did he plan this? Because why did he turn off all that before she even disappeared? Or did he turn it off just after he'd killed her? Now, on day 15, the defence lawyer raised objections as to how the prosecution witnesses were referring to the victim. And they requested that witnesses refrain from using her name or nickname, Maddi, and objected to the home being called a crime scene. God. Prosecutors argued that Fravel was abusing Maddi and obsessed over why she stopped sharing her location with him. And they also argued that Maddi felt it was far too late for them. So there was testimony about text, Snapchat messages, etc. Goes into a lot of data, sort of explanations. And Adam Fravel's attorneys argued that Maddi was not abused and had secrets when it came to her sex life. The defence showed the jury text messages from Maddi asking Fravel for sex as recently as 1 month before she disappeared. They also showed her searches on various porn sites one of which was for rough sex. Anyway, day 16, they described, you know, where she was found. The remains apparently were so hidden that he couldn't, the medical examiner at first couldn't see where the Fillmore County deputy was pointing. Some of the logs in the ditch were 6 to 10 feet long, etc., etc., etc. Right, I am whizzing through it a bit now because otherwise it's just a drone on about everything that's happened. Anyway, they called all the as the trial progressed, they called the family to, you know, the stand to talk about the possible, you know, domestic violence incidences that they knew about. So they all, and this about the Gabby Petito incident was brought up on trial day 17. David Kingsbury said that he didn't get on with Adam, or the defense attorney, Adam's defense attorney, brought up that David, Maddi's dad, did not get on with him, and used the word tumultuous to describe their relationship. It's just easy. So, of course, the court was, the trial was not televised, but we do have some sketches, better sketches than we've been used to lately. So this is Maddi's mum and this is Maddi's dad testifying, and then Maddi's sister. So they all testified. Also, David Kingsbury's current wife, Madeline's older sister, Megan, the friend that said that she, on trial day 18, the friend testified that said that she saw Adam Fravel backhand Madeline Kingsbury over a video call. Another said she watched Adam push Maddi as she held her son. A third friend said that Adam told Maddi she would not believe in him with their kids. So a number of Maddi's friends testified against Adam about times they saw Adam abuse Maddi or bruises they saw on Maddi's body. So the prosecutors are seeking to establish a pattern of domestic abuse. And the defence tried to discredit it. So all this went on. A lot of Maddi's friends testified. Now, on day 19, the state wrapped up its witness testimonies. Okay, so the state finished, that was their case that they presented. And then the defence let me see, was it day 19? Sorry, I'm just flashing through. Yeah, on trial day 20, the legal team for Adam took less than 3 hours. So the state has sort of, you know, given its case, and it's taken, I think it was about 10 days, 11 days. It took 3 hours for the defence team to sum up. Anyway, so the panel now, the Judge Buenter by Tendorp has excused the jury panel until Wednesday. And that's when the closing arguments will start next Wednesday after the American elections, and the jurors will begin deliberations immediately. afterwards. So that's where we are. That's where we are with this case. Poor Maddi, I hope she gets justice. I hope her family get justice. Is this twonk guilty? Is he guilty? Anyway, I will be back. Oh, I've just got one more video I want to show you actually before I finish.
Week 3 of Adam Fravel's murder trial now in the books. The jury hearing from several law enforcement officials and learning more about key information found on electronics. Thanks for being with us. I'm Brock Burgee.
And I'm Caitlin Alexander. Kingsbury went missing from the Winona area in March 2023. Her remains were found north of Mabel in June of that year.
They're still saying Kingsbury. Why can't they just say Maddi?
KDDC's Olivia Pronzinski has been following this case from the very beginning. She joins us live from Mankato with the latest.
Investigators shifting through thousands of text messages between accused murderer Adam Fravel and Madeline Kingsbury, giving the jury an insight to the final months before her death. The jury seeing several snapshots of Madeline Kingsbury and accused murderer Adam Fravel's lives. The state highlighting a text thread from September 2021. Kingsbury confronting Fravel about putting his hands around her neck and pushing her down in front of the kids. Fravel tells her she'll adjust and she should mind him. In December of 2022, the couple discusses ending their relationship over text. Everything seemingly cordial at the beginning, both saying they want the best for their kids. Fravel stating he is going to get a job. Kingsbury, however, says her feelings are not going to change. Fravel then starts flooding Kingsbury's phone with old photos of the two and their children. Kingsbury expresses this made her feel worse and asked him to stop several times. The defense showing the jury text threads showing an ongoing romantic relationship between the two, bringing the jury to March 31st, the day she went missing. Fravel sending Kingsbury a string of texts throughout the day, wondering where she is and asking if she is okay. A thread investigators believe is, quote, breadcrumbs left by Fravel. And Kingsbury's family is expected to take the stand starting Monday. In Mankato, Olivia Pronzinski, KDDC News.
I'm Jeff Brown, and welcome to...
So, yeah, just a little look at that. Just turn that off. Okay, so this is where we are, basically. This is where we are with this case. We'll get a verdict some point next week. I just want to show one more time the daycare video, because the last video of Maddi, the last time she saw her children, God bless. It doesn't look good. They probably had an argument that very morning. They probably argued all the way home. And then this twonk, the dog barking, the dog knows. Look, that dog doesn't want to know him. The dog knows. Okay, so I will let you know as soon as we get the verdict. I will let you know where it is, and let's hope justice is served. So, thank you for caring about Maddi, and rest in peace, Maddi. I'll see you really soon in the next video, and until then, may your God, as always, go with you. Bye.